And Nate often tells us that we don't get what we want, we get who we are, or something like that. Is that right, Nate? We don't get what we
deserve.
We don't get what we deserve. Okay,
we don't get what we want. We don't get what we want. We get what we deserve.
Right. That's exactly right. But it's exactly not what I was trying to get at.
No.
What I was trying to say, and that was my bad. I started out all wrong. He say we don't attract what we want. We attract who we are.
Who we are. Yes.
Yeah. And so we are on here because we want to be great leaders. We want to be able to equip great leaders and be able to develop great leaders. And so, great morning, Angie and Val. Good to see you guys again. My name is Andrea Scott. I believe that most of y'all know me, but live here in Jacksonville, Florida, and married to the amazing Mr. Nate Scott. And we've been married for going on 4 years now. And just next week will be 4 years that we've been married. And on our wedding day, we're especially invited to a special event for senior directors and above, which is typically at the headquarters, Nate, I think, or whatever. He'll talk about that a little later on. Well, I hope he will anyway at some point, because that's where all the leaders gather that are part of the Meluka Corporation, so to speak, the marketing executives that are senior directors and above all gather and get the royal treatment. So unfortunately for COVID, we can't gather, so we're doing a Zoom. We're doing it virtually, and then we'll be flown somewhere to experience it like we would under normal circumstances. And here's the thing about this, why I'm mentioning it. The letter that Nate got as a senior director said it is mandatory. It's mandatory that you attend this. Okay, and so cancel your family reunion, cancel your, whatever. And to the extent that someone can mandate something, the letter had very strong language that, as a leader, this is where, just know that you got way enough advance notice, and that this is where you're supposed to be. And so that's kind of what it takes. It takes leaders being in the space of other leaders and constantly growing. And the experience is something that they definitely did not want us to miss. And so I am just, I wish we could have been there, but glad that we'll get to do it virtually and we'll experience it that way. And so anyway, let's go ahead and introduce ourselves, and we'll start with the directors that are on. And so Kendra, you've been on for a minute. Let's go to you, and then Sharwanda. Sharwanda's been on, and then we'll go to Shirley, and then Angie. All right. So Kendra, Sharwanda, Shirley, and Angie. Again, your name, where you live, and what do you value from being on the leadership series, on these leadership real talk series, if I can, Nate, if that's appropriate. All right, so go ahead, Kendra. Oh, you're muted, Ken.
Yep. Okay, there we go. All right, good morning, everybody. I'm Kendra Thomas. I'm right out of Philadelphia, and the value that I've gotten from getting on this leadership call is really it really causes me to begin to, I think, delve into what a leader looks like. Like, I have never studied leadership before. And so this is so eye-opening for me. And the biggest piece I love is that those Clifton strengths. And so when I took those Clifton strengths and I considered them as exposing the natural gifts that God has given me, and it has forced me to operate in a different way. it forced me to operate in a different way. So yeah, so I'm really appreciative of this. Like I said, I didn't even know that there's this whole, study on leadership. So thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yes, and I took mine, Kendra, and mine came back almost identical to yours, which I thought was interesting. Yeah, very, very similar, very similar. And so, for those of you guys who have not taken the Strength Finders, definitely want to take it. And then what I would suggest is also um, to have a session with Nate about just to send it to him and go over it with him. He was able to pull out some really great things with me with that. So, all right, let's go to Sharwanda, then Shirley, then Angie. Sharwanda, I don't know if you've written
Oh,
any.
I'm sorry. What was the question? I'm sorry.
Okay, so just to share again your name, where you're located, and what value you've gotten from being part of the leadership series.
Okay, I was getting something to drink. Sharwanda Peak, Duval County, Jacksonville, Florida. There's value in just the economic empowerment, building our knowledge base, growth and development.
Okay, and Sharwanda, is your last name, is it Peak or Peaks with an S?
Peak without the S, P-E-E-K,
Okay,
no S.
I saw that and I was like, okay, I've been calling her name wrong all this time. Okay, so it's on here.
And just for the record, Sharwanda, S-H-A-R-W-O-N-D-A.
Okay, all right, awesome. I believe that that's how I've been spelling it. Maybe sometimes spell check may change it, but I got that. Thank you for giving me the correction, and everyone who needs to know, because we definitely want to spell your name right. That's a sign of respect.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrea.
Yes, yes, yes. All right, Miss Shirley Carter.
Hello, everyone. Good Saturday morning. My goodness. Listen, I am Shirley Arline Carter from Bryan, Texas. And what I get out this leadership is to find the leadership. Girl, I didn't know how to even look for a leadership, to find the leadership, and then how to coach the leadership, and realize that that person is going to follow my lead as a leader. So that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's really, that last part is the most important one. Yeah, is it that the folks that are following us will do exactly what we do. So great, love it. All right, thank you, Angie Mari.
Hi, I'm Angie Maury from outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. What I value is learning how to develop a leader, but learning how to develop a leader in a way that allows me to pour all into that up and coming leader without hesitation, and understanding that what I have gained, what I have learned was meant to share, not for me to hold on to, from the aspect of being concerned about somebody taking over something from me. So that was good stuff. Good stuff.
That's great. Great, 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 Angie. Working your way out of a job. We talked about that last time. Working your way out of responsibilities. I love it. All right, excellent. All right, so now take yourself off mute. Let's go ahead and have Denise, and then Miss Florence, and then Val. All right.
I am Denise, and I am currently living in Maryland. And what I value most about the leadership program is just learning myself more, identifying my own strengths and my weaknesses, and just developing into the kind of leader that I always wanted to have. So I've had leaders before, but I didn't feel that I was underneath the right leadership to develop the way that I felt in my heart what a leader really was. And so I'm thankful that I'm connected to the community, because you and Nate are what I have been praying for so many years. It's like you pray for something and it doesn't happen, but you keep believing, and then one day it shows up. And so here I am, with y'all. So I'm thankful. I'm excited, for my own personal growth, but I'm even more excited for the woman that I will become in the process of my learning stage right now. And I'm looking forward to developing and then helping other people develop. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
When I get there, my story is like so great, because I could be talking to someone and like, you don't know how I used to be with my anxiety. You know what I'm saying? Like what I came from, and then look at who I am today. And I feel that I could be so much more helpful to people, when that time comes. So I'm happy and I'm excited to learn and to grow.
Awesome. Awesome. Wonderful. Thank you, Denise. All right. So Miss Florence, and then Val, and then I think we have Kishelle and Lakeisha.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
First of all, I just want to say thank God for his blessing. In spite of this corona, he is still in the blessing business, because one thing I can say, he allows us to take some time and to be able to come to get together, be in fellowship, and we can learn from each other. Normally, we would probably be out in the mall shopping where we don't need to be spending money unnecessarily. But, he gives us time to think, reflect on our life. So I'm grateful for the fact that he's still in the blessing business. He's in control. What I appreciate from this call, the Life is Rich community, is that you get to learn new things all the time. Because sometimes we think we know everything, but there's a lot of things that we don't know. And I am learning from it daily, and I appreciate that. So, I'm grateful for the new um, learning and teaching that Nate gives. He's a tough cookie, but he gives you the real stuff, and maybe that's why it's called the what is it called again? Real talk.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Mr. Tough Cookie, but he's solid.
Yes.
So
Yes.
thank you, Nate. Thank you.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. So we're going to go Val, then we're going to go Kishelle, then we're going to go to Lakeisha. Your name, where you're calling from, and the value that you've gotten from these leadership calls. If this is your first time on a leadership call during this series, then the value that you've gotten from the Life is Rich community. All right. So let's talk leadership. Val.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Val Shelton. I live in Birmingham, Alabama, by way of the NYC. And the value that I have gotten has been, of course, I'm steadfast on this, it's so much. But if I had to make a choice, the personal growth and the development is a big deal. It's been a journey of self-discovery. It's allowed me to take a real hard look of areas that I really wasn't looking at. I just kind of brushed it off my shoulders and said, "Oh, everything will be good. Everything will be okay. I'll work through it." But what it has done is it's allowed me to really take a real hard look at that and get a better understanding. of what the flavor really is of a great leader. You know, if you're not a great leader, then you'll lead and then you lose and then you lead and then you lose. Not saying that that's not going to happen. I mean, inadvertently it is going to happen because that's just such as life, and life does change. But it gives me a better feel of what I'm responsible for and who I need to look for. And then I'm in an environment of like-minded people, not people so much on my level, but we're all projecting to be on a higher level, and I'm grateful for that. So that's the value that I've gotten from all of this. It's just been a great ride. And I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. All right, Kishelle. Kishelle.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. You put your we lost you. All right, so I think her call dropped. Let's go to Lakeisha. Lakeisha, are you a guest or are you, tell us who you are.
Okay, my name is Lakeisha Leitner, and I found out about this program, and I am new to, this is my first real leadership call. I attempted one before and had technical difficulties and just could not get it to work. But the morning I was determined. I had like 3 gadgets ready to go just in case my call dropped. What I want to do is I want to learn more, and I look forward to growing and becoming a great leader. And so far, listening to the testimonials, I feel that this will lead me to becoming a great leader.
Wonderful. Lakeisha, what's your last name?
Leitner.
And who invited you on?
Miss Shawanda Peak.
Oh, all right, Shawanda. Awesome. Excellent. Well, we're excited to have you on, and we already see your resolve with 3 gadgets, ready to go. So thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. All right. And just know, Lakeisha, that on this call and in our community, the Life is Rich community, no, we don't have wallflowers. Okay. So everybody contributes, and we'll at some point, Nate will ask you, what value statements, questions, input, all of those things. And so we just invite you to just be a part. Okay.
Okay. No problem.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So let's go to Tilly. Hey. All right. So Tilly, and I think iPhone, I'm not sure who's at iPhone. So Tilly, and then Kishelle is back on. So Tilly, go ahead, and then we'll go to the iPhone and then Kishelle.
Hey, good morning. I'm Alvin Tilley. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. Currently living in Tampa, Florida. This is my first real talk, but I've been on the financial peace classes, and I talk to Nate every day almost. And, the value I'm getting from the Life is Rich community is the constant mentorship and the sound guidance. So it's kind of like Nate is my XO and one of his commanders. And so the community, and how you guys are willing to help us get to our financial goals through financial peace and the cause. So that the value in the camaraderie and the sense of unity is what I'm valuing most. Over.
Awesome. Thank you. I love that. Over. I love that conditioning, that military conditioning. Okay. Thank you, Tilly. I appreciate that so much. All right. Who's that iPhone? Who's the iPhone?
That's Kim Foster.
Oh, what's up? Something told me that was you, Kim. All right, Kim, your name, you're calling from, and what value you gotten from being on these leadership Zooms, the Real Talk Leadership?
Oh my goodness. Good morning, everyone. I am Kimberly Foster. I am from Jacksonville, Florida. And the value that I have received from these leadership Zooms are off the chart. First of all, and especially to our guests, it is a safe place to grow. And I love that because sometimes, you're involved in places where you're supposed to be growing or where they say you'll grow, but it's not really safe for you to grow. But I love the fact that Life is Rich is a safe place to grow. I love the fact that it gives you the ability to grow. And I mean, to really grow if you choose. Key point, if you choose. I love the fact that the Life is Rich community nurtures the whole person. So it is nurturing all of me, and I am committed, I've submitted to allow it to nurture all of me, because only then can I be better if all of me is nurtured. And you know, I love the fact, and I heard Mom say that Nate is a tough cookie, and he is a tough cookie, but Nate doesn't force anything on you. You know what I mean? He knows what needs to be done. He's got a proven track record. He's about his business. He does what he needs to do. And you know, he puts it out there. And if you choose to follow based on where you want to be, then he's right there for you. And I love that. And so, you know, this call for me, it's forced me to really look at the whole Kim Foster, not just some of Kim Foster, not the part of Kim Foster that people like, not even the part of Kim Foster that Kim Foster likes, but it has forced me to really dig deep and really look at all parts of me, and to come up with the realization that, you know what, Kim, you got some things to work on, girlfriend, you know, and so I really love this Life is Rich community, because it's it is forcing me to be a better me. Thank you.
Awesome. Kim, I love that, because when you said it's forcing every part of you to grow, and that's Life is Rich. It's the mission. The mission then is being accomplished, okay? Spiritually, mentally, emotionally, relationally, physically, financially. Those 6 areas are the areas in which Nate has endeavored, promised to help God's people to grow, which is living in fullness every day in every one of those areas. And so if you can, I guess for me, because I didn't give my value statement, but I just wanted to share this commentary, is that in every area of my life, since being, partnering with Nate, from the time that I met him to the time that I hired him to the time that, we got married, to the time to going on 4 years, I have not decreased in any area of my life. I have not decreased I have increased in every area of my life, and that is a blessing. And so that's my value statement for Mr. Nate Scott. So thank you, Kim, for that, because that just jogged that.
Can I add one other thing too? When you were saying what you were saying about you've grown in every area of your life, I'll tell you, you know, when I'm not involved, I don't feel like I'm growing. I don't. I feel like I am going to miss something. Like I've never. I mean, even when I'm working, I'm trying to find a way to get on, even if I can't say anything, but if I can listen, because in listening, I am guaranteed, and I really want everybody on this call to hear me. In listening, I am guaranteed that I am going to learn something. And I mean, what else is it? So because of that, I feel like if I don't get on, that I'm not going to grow, that I am going to miss something. And sometimes in missing something in the moment, it can't be given back in the same way that it was given in the moment of you being there. And so I just wanted to say that. When you said that, it made me think about that.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Very rich comments this morning from everyone. All right, Kishelle, you're back.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. I got booted out when I unmuted my phone. I am Kishelle Walker. I am here in Macon, Georgia. What I value most about the leadership classes that we're having Real Talk on Saturdays is looking at myself. It's helping me to grow as a leader in the community as well as in my business. Looking at things that I thought I knew. So learning a lot of things, unlearning a lot of things that I thought I learned, but now hearing it and going through this course has really opened my mind to, looking at true leadership, and a lot of leaders that you looked upon as leaders. Hey, I've, gained information to see and to know that some of the leaders were not really leaders. So being a part of a community where you have true leaders and leadership being number one, living by example, has been amazing for me. So learning and personal development has been my biggest takeaway here.
Beautiful. I'm going to turn it over to Nate. But before I do that, Cashel, here's the truth, the real truth in what you stated is that understanding, because I'll be honest with you, when we first started this and decided that we were going to build this wellness entity under our Life is Rich company umbrella, so to speak, we knew that we were more interested in the people. But I couldn't get that Life is Rich thing. How does this all fit? And, I couldn't get it. But when it becomes clear, it becomes crystal clear. And the truth of the matter is, what you mentioned about, not only does this help you in leadership here, but you can in your business, in your life, in your family, in your church. This Life is Rich. This is stuff that is so stand out from just, like Nate calls it, the $19 shopping club, $19 membership. This is a life-changing stuff because you get to take it with you, and then you also get to transfer it and deposit it into somebody else's life. And so it just makes you better all around. And so thank you for sharing that one little line that you shared. And so so I appreciate all of you guys. I think I have everybody. If I missed anybody, nope, I think we're all good. I'm going to pass it over to Nate Scott now. Nate, you got the floor.
All right. Great morning. Great morning. Sitting back, listening to you guys share your value statements. My heart is definitely filled. I appreciate seeing the fruit from the seeds that have been planted. This morning, as I get ready to get into a leader's greatest return, I want to start you out with Proverbs 23, 7 through 19 as the basis for the subject: vision, hope for a preferred future. Vision, hope for a preferred future, based on Proverbs 23, 7 through 19. Leaders understand the importance of their minds to the future of their organizations. Consider some of the timeless principles offered in Proverbs 23 about our minds and a godly vision for tomorrow. Number one, your thoughts determine your character. Your thoughts determine your character. Number two, be careful of your thoughts. They may break into words at any time. Be careful of your thoughts. They may break into words at any time. Number three, don't waste your thoughts on those who don't hunger for them. Don't waste your thoughts on those who don't hunger for them. Number four, the first person you lead is you, and the first organ you master is your mind. The first person you lead is you, and the first organ you master is your mind. Number five, don't let your mind drift away from God's truth and into vain envy. Don't let your mind drift away from God's truth and into vain envy. Number 6, stay confident that your vision will come to pass. Stay confident that your vision will come to pass. And number 7, discipline your thoughts to remain steadfast in what you know is right. Discipline your thoughts to remain steadfast in what you know is right. Vision, hope for a preferred future. For those of you that are just joining me for the very first time, my name is Nate Scott, author of Life is Rich, How to Create Lasting Wealth, which is a principle-centered, biblically based leadership program focused on personal growth and entrepreneurship, specifically written to address the fact that 77 million baby boomers are retiring based on cash flow danger, that 66 out of 100 people age 65 earn less than $30,000 retirement, that 47% of people say if they had a $400 emergency, they'd have to sell something or borrow money to address it, and 78% of people are saying they're living paycheck to paycheck. It's about how to think versus what to think. How to think versus what to think. Because your thoughts lead to your feelings, which lead to your actions, which lead to your results. Your thoughts lead to your feelings, which lead to your actions, which lead to your results. Thoughts lead to feelings, which lead to actions, which lead to results. It's about how to think versus what to think. You know, I always get joy when I go to God's word, and let you guys know, I select that stuff randomly. Literally, I trust the Spirit's going to guide me somewhere. Literally, I just pick up my word and I flip to something, and then as I'm listening to you guys, I pull it out to see what it is I'm going to share with you based upon what I open up the word to. And this right here just gives me joy, because given this morning's focus, which is going to be on chapter 8, mentoring leaders, to have those 7 points, I'm confident that for those of you that are really dialed in, that you can see the parallel. Life is rich. I live in fullness every day because I realize I am Christ's heir. Spiritually, mentally, emotionally, relationally, physically, financially. I believe in the promise that's offered in God's word, foundation built on Matthew 6:33, which says, seek ye first the kingdom of God, which means salvation. But there's their promise that comes with the work that we put forth, and that is that all things thereafter shall be added unto us, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, relationally, physically, financially. It's that promise of true life, true blessings, heaven on earth right now, not later, but right now, because God's word says that now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things unseen. Vision, hope for a preferred future. We each have the opportunity to meditate on all those things that we desire. That's what prayer looks like. In praying, we are to pray, or at least on my end, when I pray with an expectation that God's going to answer my prayer. And the prayer that I have is that he answers it in accordance to his will, not my will. And because I trust in the promise that all things work together for my good, I'm not dismayed when things don't work out the way that I may want them to, because I'm trusting that he has my best interests. And so as I engage with each and every one of you, and whether or not that's directly or indirectly by my walk, I just hope to inspire you and anyone that you give the opportunity to be exposed to us. I just want to inspire each believer to believe in the promises of his word. And the inspiration that I hope you each to receive should come by the example that I set, by the walk that I walk, because I can tell what you believe by what you do, not by what you say. And so when we state the thing of saying people rather see a sermon versus hear one, that's what that looks like. That's what it means. Vision, hope for a preferred future. And so let me start right there. Just let me pause for a moment and see what if you got off right now at 41 minutes into this Zoom, what'd you get a value from just that section? If you had to just leave right now, what do you have that you can go do something with to move closer towards those things that you've been seeking and asking for? So let me begin with you, Shirley, because I know you got to get off early today. So great morning. What did you get a value from what I just shared?
Yes, one thing is that you said when you listen to us with our opening remarks, you pull something out of what each and every one of us saying to realize that you can go to the word and give us what we need. And I really felt that this morning because I was the second one on and I came in jolly, jolly, jolly and talking about the leader. And then you came with this scripture, which I got a lot of that out of the scripture that you read. And then secondly, what I got was people rather see a sermon instead of, they rather see a sermon instead of hearing one, correct? So that's what people rather see your walk, see how you are doing your business, or see how you are getting the senator, wherever it is that you are striving for. They're going to see you and not to just see how you work, in other words, and not just sit back and you telling them as a leader what to do. But that's one thing that's what I got.
Okay, great. Cashel, one thing of value from this morning, from what has been laid so far.
That I have struggled a lot with thoughts breaking into words. So that spoke a lot to me. My thoughts sometimes lead to words that, I didn't mean for it to come out that way, didn't mean to say it that way. And especially in leadership, we have to be careful what we say and how we say it. So the thoughts turning into words is what I have gotten. And also that thing about our life will be the only sermon that some people will see. So we live our life according to the word and according to what we want people to see. That is our biggest testimony, our life.
All right, thank you. Angie. Angie, you're on mute.
Got it off now. What stuck out this morning was heaven on earth right now. And then you talked about now faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen, and believing that God will answer your prayers when you pray. And when things don't turn out the way you expect them, that you don't give up faith. You just keep believing that God will manifest that which you believe that he will bring into your life.
All right, thank you. Denise.
For me right now, it would be the fact of when you said that while we was talking this morning that you opened the Bible and you was reading from it and it aligned you. So it's just that knowing that what you're doing to help us, that you are truly working from a spiritual, place and leadership for us, because that was just an awesome connection for you to, open it up and see what you were talking about today. So that lets me know that you are in alignment with what you're trying to accomplish.
Awesome. Thank you. Mom.
Well, to me, starting with the word is very important because it tells us that what you're saying is solid. We know where to find it, and if we just abide by that, guide ourselves according to the word, we'll be right on track. But another thing that I got is the first person to lead is you. And the second organ, the first organ is your mind. And also to stay confident that your vision will come to pass. A lot of times we have a vision, this is what we want, but we don't stay to the end to see it, fulfill. We want to quit too fast because we tend to want things too fast. And if it comes fast, it's not necessarily the best. So that those two things, I really struck a chord.
All right, thank you. Kendra.
Yes, so far a value I really took away from the value statements that Kim talked about, saying that that you all are leaders with a proven track record, and that if we choose to follow, that both you and Andrea are there for us. And I appreciate like the consistency, like you all model what it means to be consistent. And so when you have a model in front of you that shows you what it's like that really has, caused me to want to be consistent as well. And I think Andrea said that, leading in every area, that she has increased in every area of her life. Like I ditto that in every area of my life. I have grown since being connected to Life is Rich. I love that you talked about put out Proverbs 23, 7-19. I'll make sure that, throughout the week that I go back and really reflect on that. And then the two things that you listed 7, but 2 that stuck out for me also was be careful of your thoughts because they may turn into words at any moment. I mean, that literally is so incredibly true. And then also stay confident that your vision will come to pass.
All right, Shawanda.
Good morning again. As I think about value and as I think about where I am in life, one of the things, and it may not even answer the question because I just took a call from Brooks. One of the things that I am really focusing on for myself is that personal engagement. When we're talking about leadership, when we're talking about growing people, you have to be engaged and you have to establish relationship. And we talked about that last week a little bit. In the relationship building, you get to know the people that you're leading. You get to know some of their strengths and some of their weaknesses. And then you can go about filling in the gap. I'll use this as a personal example. I had a question about the call this morning. And because I haven't read all of the information, I will get there. Nate found it not robbery to give me a call and let me know the proper steps for engaging others in the opportunity. So my focus as I try to sit, and if I have to step out because I do have a mother who's in rehab, as I sit and listen today, I want to be fully engaged so that I can receive, and as I focus on my engagement, my relationship building, I can better develop myself and develop those that I would like to believe that I am leading.
Okay. So everyone, and I'm gonna give you an opportunity, Shawanda, back. Did you hear me speak just a moment ago?
No, I didn't, and I missed the 7.
No problem.
Proverbs 23. I've missed quite a bit.
Perfect. So for everybody here, as we move through, if you are step away and I call on you, don't feel any pressure to say anything. Give me that heads up just so that we stay on task with the information as we're moving through. So don't, if you step away, you miss something, don't feel like you need to say something. Just give me a heads up so that in turn I can pass, so I can move on to the next person. So Lakeisha, you on mute? You on mute? All right, coming back to you. Kim. You on mute?
Hey, okay. Yeah, I agree with the young lady, and I'm sorry I missed her name, but be careful of my thoughts because they become your words. I can remember how one time that happened to me, and it was like the worst ordeal ever. So that really spoke to me, and it reminded me to absolutely be careful of the things I'm thinking because they can become your words, which can serve to hurt you. My other value statement is stay confident that my vision will come to pass. And then the final thing that I'll say is your thoughts lead to your feelings, feelings lead to actions, which leads to results.
All right, thank you. Lakeisha, I see you back now.
Hold on.
There you go. I hear you.
Okay, yes, I'm back. I had to switch to my iPad. Sorry about that.
Good.
My volume on my phone was really low, so I did get some of the points, but I missed a couple of them. But what I did take away is about your thoughts, controlling your thoughts, because sometimes you'll think something and it will come to pass. And so for me, it's just finding ways not to waste my thoughts and to make sure that I'm doing what I need to do to become the best leader that I can be.
All right, great. Thank you, Al.
Yeah, so I got also was about controlling your thoughts, and also that everybody doesn't want your thoughts. You got to be mindful that people might not be ready for what you have to share with them, and also you said even if something doesn't work out, that's still in God's will. Like so I had to remind myself it's that like Isaiah 55, I think, that says his thoughts are not my thoughts, his ways are not my ways. So I got to trust him, even if something falls through, trust that he has my best interests at heart. Like that was huge in the part about me sharing my thoughts with everybody, because everybody might not want my thoughts. Oh.
All right. So as a rehash, because I want you guys, Andrea, go ahead.
Okay. So what stuck out to me is the first person I lead is me, and the first organ I master is my mind. All right. I think one of the things that brought that to life and having it as an example is, so Nate, you shared with me the Cadets Creed, the West Point Cadets Creed, that a cadet will neither lie, cheat, or steal, or tolerate those who do. And in all my years of knowing you, I can say honestly that I've never seen you lie, cheat, or steal. I mean, so that level of integrity that goes to leading yourself first and making sure that you are above reproach, and that the standard that you're willing to hold others to is a standard that you're already holding yourself to, or leading yourself to, and mastering my mind in which means mastering my thoughts. So that really stuck out with me.
All right, great, thank you. I'm gonna rehash one of these because, like I said, this morning's I think is so powerful, because if you reflect on all that you guys experienced, then this should really be a great evaluation to vision, hope for a preferred future. Leaders understand the importance of their minds to the future of their organizations. So for example, because I understand the importance of my mind, I'm constantly growing. Remember this here, a leader's greatest return, and this real talk was only me inviting you to just come along because I'm doing this with or without you. I know that the success of our organization and that which we have desires for, which is a two-head presidential organization, that won't happen accidentally. And I can only lead to the level in which I grow to. And so for the type of organization and to reach those numbers that we're aiming for, I know that I've got to be better. And so that's an example of what that looks like. Consider some of the timeless principles offered in Proverbs 23 about our minds and a godly vision for tomorrow. You've always heard me talk about how to think versus what to think. That's the essence of the mind piece. I'm not trying to get you to be robots. I want to bring out and accentuate your very best. Hence me offering up you guys the opportunity to take the assessment at no cost, essentially at break even, and giving that to you, again, giving you one of my tools that I use within my professional world. Your number one, your thoughts determine your character. Your character. We're a character-based organization, not reputation. I choose character over reputation every time. Reputation will cause you to do stuff to be appeasing to people. Character is a thing that will allow someone to see you one way, and then they can trust the fact that you're going to be the same way around someone else. So you know how you get some people that they get in front of people that they think are popular or influential or whatever, and they want to put on a show, but then they get around other people and that's a weak character. Your thoughts determine your character. So that which you meditate on, the word speaks about the renewing of the mind. It's the mind that is then shown in your character. Be careful of your thoughts. They may break into words at any time. I always tell you, words have power. Words have power. Watch that. Okay, what did you mean by that? Getting clarification. Don't waste your thoughts on those who don't hunger for them. Remember, this here is a volunteer piece right here. There's no pressing or chasing or trying to convince. It's like, it's here. Come as you are. If you want it, you can come get it. But I ain't going to beg you, because I know that most people lack ambition. Most people won't follow through. Most people will talk, say things just to kind of make themselves feel good. But the reality is, all one has to do is sit back and watch, and everything is revealed. So don't beat yourself up and feel bad. Realize that you can't help a person that won't help themselves. The first person you lead is you. The first organ you master is your mind. That's why chapter 1 of Life is Rich, How to Create Lasting Wealth is leadership is the answer, because that's everything. And that's what we're about. We're a leadership development organization. We educate, equip, and empower leaders. Leaders of yourself, leaders of your family, leaders of your city, leaders of your community, leaders of the state, leaders of the country. All those things are based upon leadership. And in every space, there's an opportunity to lead. And so it's about being intentional. It's about there's a process to grow in each area. Stay away. No, here's the big one. Number 5, don't let your mind drift away from God's truth and into vain envy. Let me show you how this looks. Don't let your mind drift away from God's truth. That's what life is rich is. And into vain envy. That's what Melaleuca is. God's truth, life is rich. Envy, Melaleuca. God's truth, life is rich. Foundation built on Matthew 6:33 for you to be the best version of yourself. Envy, chasing rank, trying to be feeling bad about whether or not you going fast enough, all those things. Trust me. If you take care of God's truth, the results will take care of itself if you do the work. That's it. But don't you lose yourself and sell out, turn over your soul into the world. Because you're seeing the dollars, you're seeing the success. Listen, that stuff is what I expect us to have. But if I was chasing that, then that would mean I'd forego God's people. Because the truth of the matter is, working with God's people, that's work. Trying to change the mindset of people that have been indoctrinated through the church system is work. It's a crazy thing that you have people of the world that will apply God's principles and reap the rewards and the results. But God's people won't even apply his principles. Crazy. See, because principles work like that. It doesn't have nothing to do with whether or not you're saved or not. Principles are principles. They just are timeless. They will work because they work. So we're operating from a different vantage point. Our motivation is different because I've committed my life to service. When I said, Lord, if you allow me to make it back, I'll never waste a day of my life. And when you understand that, that right there should be your anchor. Don't let your mind drift away from God's truth and into vain envy. If you get nothing else, take that particular thing and you go share that with the world. You go tell people, you go, if you want to tell people about who we are, that's what I need you guys to understand. And that's what I need you to put forth. That's the invitation that you need to extend to people. That's what alignment before assignment means. That's where it's captured right there. Don't let your mind drift away from God's truth and into vain envy. The truth that he has for you. Who does God say you are? Because that's how I treat you. My aim is to work with you in the context of not where you're at, but who I see you to be based on what God's word says. Number 6, stay confident that your vision will come to pass. That's where your work comes in. It ain't gonna come to pass by happenstance. It comes to pass because you have a hope for a preferred future. Hope is an expectation. That's why word says now faith is a substance things hope for. What are you hoping for? Well, I know what you're hoping for by what you do. We do that which we expect. So what are you expecting to take place in your life? Man, when I can get that cracked, when I can get you to believe the way that I believe in God's will for you, I'm saying whatever it is that you're asking for, that he's ready to hand it over if you're willing to do the work. But you won't do the work if you don't believe. We gotta get the belief up. And then we gotta get faster with helping people to get their belief up. And that's the whole essence of this whole thing of attracting, developing, and multiplying leaders. It's the speed of trust. How quickly can we get people to trust God's word to be truth and then stand on that truth? And then invite others to participate in truth in a world that readily embraces lies. Number 7, discipline your thoughts to remain steadfast in what you know is right. Once you're clear about that expected end, then it's a matter of just staying focused and just putting one foot in front of the other. Daily habits done daily build character. It's those daily choices that we make. Andrea posted something today. I think she said that a bad mistake follows a bad decision or something of that nature. And that's true. The first is the decision, and then is when the mistake happens. All right. And so hold on to that. We're going to be on chapter 8 today. Today, we're going to go through mentoring leaders, coach them to the next level. Mentoring leaders, coach them to the next level. And so before we get into that, does anyone have any questions or anything outstanding from any chapter thus far? I don't even know how many of you actually are reading. I mean, I'd love to, if you have been reading, feel free to unmute yourself. This is for you right now. If you've been reading, tell me how it's been for you. All right.
Hey, this is Angie.
Yes.
Okay. What did I read? I read
Okay, you didn't
Developing.
get appointed directly, but go ahead and in general, how has it been for you? Are you what?
Well, I read about developing leaders, listening to people. And I think what I gained from that was, I guess I was enlightened, and I guess I've heard you say this before, but I was enlightened by the idea of not being reluctant to release skills. Um, I guess from the mindset of losing your job, like, don't worry about,
Right.
oh, you know where I'm going with that. Okay.
Yeah, you said
So,
earlier. Yep.
yeah, I said that earlier because what it showed me was that it should really be a team effort in building your leaders, that everybody comes to the table with something. And we should allow opportunities to hear what others have to add that would allow me to, I guess, bridge or build on my vision. So say if I had an idea in mind, instead of me just saying, okay, this is what we're going to do, you're going to do this, and just constantly delegating responsibilities because it fits my need. What I'm learning is that I may have an idea or a vision how to move forward with a project or whatever it is that I'm doing. But to gather the thoughts and ideas of the team I work with would help me to enhance that so that now it is a collective vision and not just my vision.
Be mindful of going to that point before the other things are in place. So once again,
Right,
this
because it
book in which
also talked about getting to know people, getting to know who you're working with.
beginning with yourself,
Right.
beginning with yourself. So let me make sure I frame this the right way. This here book and what I'm taking you through is a bit advanced because truth be told, most of you are not here. The only reason that you're on this journey right here with me right now is because my hope is that I can help you to do that self-reflection so that if you're in those situations where you are in organizations or in relationships and you are somewhere being led or are able to evaluate whether or not you're being led or not, and also then start to see, well, what are you actually bringing to the table to ensure that you're that person that would be the one that would be naturally sought after. So be mindful as you read these chapters that you do so building on top of something else, because you can get into this thing of thinking out, well, I need to take in everybody's ideas, but the truth of the matter is, in and of itself, that would not be the smart thing to do if there's no real plan or real outcome that's being desired. When you have a definitive vision, then you are then going to get others that can cause that thing to come to pass, and then you're putting those persons that you go get into their optimal position so that they can be the best, bring their very best, and operate from their strength positions to make it happen. Does that make sense? That was real quick as far as just walking it back, but does that make sense?
No, it did, because the book talked about that. The book talked about, as people give you give you their feedback, to be mindful of the information that is being shared and to begin to look at which comments or which ideas build on what it is that you're trying to do, so that, like you said, so that you can find the best people to help you carry out this vision.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Anyone else reading?
I would like to share.
Sure.
So one of the things that really stood out to me is in the chapter about understanding leaders. There was a line in there that was very interesting, and it says, people don't automatically, talking about the people that you lead, people don't automatically commit to you and follow you when they understand you. They commit to you and follow when they feel understood. And that goes back to Stephen Covey's, first seek to understand than to be understood. And I think, and I remember, growing my business years ago, that, knowing that I was the voice in the room that everyone was listening to, I had to quell my desire for people to understand my point and shift to let me understand where you're coming from. You know what I'm saying? And that when people feel understood, I mean, it's in any relationship really, but especially when you're leading leaders, that kind of like what Angie said, leaders are contributors, and leaders are at all different levels, but when they feel understood, then that's the most important thing. And I think that, I can see where I missed the mark on that several times, but, was able to grow into that type of leadership. And then it talks about also when people understand that you're in it with them, they're more likely to hang in there with you. And I've seen, again, if you're all in, which, was my thing when I made the decision to retire. And I know I keep going back to that example, but my people started to see and feel that I wasn't all in with them. And so if I'm not all in as a leader, if I'm not hanging in there, if you bring somebody to the community and you disappear, then, or I disappear, let me put it in first person, then what happens is they don't hang around either. You know what I'm saying? For the most part. So,
not
those,
this community.
not, okay. All right. Not this community. All right. All right. Any other community except Life is Rich. All right. Because Nate will grab them. All right. So, but that was real key for me, is that people don't follow you when they understand you, because it's almost like I'm the leader. Here's my vision. If you don't get it, see you later. You're not, whatever. And that goes way beyond the alignment before assignment. It's kind of like, this is my party, and whatever. But when, as a leader, it's important for us to have to see people's perspectives and to understand people's perspective and to seek out other people's perspectives. So that was that.
So let's clear that up too. It's important for the leader to hear the perspective of those persons that are deemed to be bringing value to that which is being pushed forward. Because otherwise, what will happen is...
Say that again.
All opinions, thoughts, and ideas don't carry the same weight.
No, I thought you said to hear the opinions of people who have value. Correct.
So let me say it again. So I shortened it up by saying the bottom line of the statement is that be mindful and recognize that everyone's opinions, thoughts, and ideas does not carry the same weight. As a leader, be mindful of trying to get groupthink, and be mindful of things that will take you off of where it is that you're going. And that's why alignment before assignment is critical. When you're clear about whatever the path that you're on. So example, let's use real world. Life is Rich. Life is Rich is a very clear and foundationally built that if somebody is not in alignment with the principles, ideas, values, then no matter what their ideas are or what their contribution could be, they won't be heard. In fact, they will probably end up getting pushed out and pushed away.
Are you saying be heard by you or be heard by the group?
Well, community, by being in the community, period. I'm saying that they will be pushed away from the vantage point of, they will say, this doesn't feel right for me. This doesn't feel of anything. It's not something that will cause one to say, I always tell you, go where you celebrate it, not where you tolerate it. Okay. What I'm saying is that you've got to learn that when you are clear about what your value, and that's a value-based decision. There's so many little nuggets. I hope you guys are taking some notes, because we can actually spend time right here. Value-based decisions, principles, character, integrity. Those things are the things that will attract the right people. And then those people that are in based upon that, then it's a matter of saying, okay, well, what are they bringing and what are their contribution? Are they committed? Are they a part of the community? Are they plugged in or not? Somebody's not plugged in. They can be the most talented person. They can have the greatest ideas, but they won't supersede someone else that's invested, because it's very easy for someone to come in that have all that,
Right.
but they come in just to get what they want to get, and then they're out.
I agree with that.
Okay. And so if you're reading the book, one example that John Maxwell, he shares something in here about having John Wooden as being his mentor. And John Wooden, if those of you don't know, was the coach of UCLA Bruins, was known as the greatest coach regardless of what type of sport. And John Wooden talked about having a player on his team that day one of practice, when he came there, everyone knew that he was the best player in the gym. But the problem that this person had was that though he was the best player, he wasn't the best teammate. And so the only thing that John had that was at his disposal in order to as a consequence for this player was to put him on the bench. And he shares a story saying, now imagine this, we're playing this game, we got the best player on the bench. And he said as the game would go along, that that particular player would come to coach, put me in the game. Coach, I'm the best player here. I can do these things. And he said, you're right. You're the best player of the team, but the team does not play its best with you on the floor. I want you to think about that for a moment. Think about the situations in which, if you've been in that leadership role, or if you went to someone else that's a player on the team, and you're the one showing up in practice, and you're adopting in the system, you're doing all those things, but you had someone that were just a disruption to the team, that things just didn't flow as well with them, even though they were the most talented. But that's where leadership steps in, where leadership realizes and really emphasizes that the whole is greater than the individual sum of its parts. And so I share that with you all just to say that when for me, when I listened to each one of you, when I asked you about stuff, and I said, I need to know your thoughts, not my thoughts, and what, here, don't leave it in my hands to figure it out. Even when I gave the thing, I said, hey, you ladies that have this particular background, how about y'all come together, set up your own committee, and figure out how do you bring your very best talent and those experiences you've had to help us all be better. I just don't want to know nobody's done anything with that yet, but that's an example about listening and asking and seeking in order to help to pull out the best from other ideas and thoughts. And then you also want to get those people that will do more than just talk about it. They'll actually then go run with it. Because the worst thing from a leadership perspective is feeling like everything depends on the leader. So weigh the ensure that as you're getting thoughts and ideas from people, that you make sure that you get substance, because many times people like to talk and literally it won't move you forward in what it is that you're looking to accomplish. And so that's where the listening piece comes in. Continue to work on the skill of listening so that in turn you can pull out and keep people on task with that which is communicated, so that in turn things are not held up or distracted as a result of things are not moving you with when the singular focus and singular purpose as you move forward. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, it does.
All right. I'll pause for a moment. Anyone have anything that I need to clarify, or that you're not, that didn't feel right, you confused about anything?
Yeah, that was good.
Okay.
No, I think you closed it out
Mhm.
with more clarity.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, but please, 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 that's what I need you to do is I need you to say, unfortunately, I can't spend all this time. I need y'all to read what I read so that in turn, then we can move forward certain things, because there's so much, even if you didn't hear that, if that, what I just now tried to give you in the story format is the first time you heard that, I need you to get that story from him, not from me, because I'm only trying to give it back to you what I read. Okay. So, I don't know if it's covered in this particular chapter or not. I don't remember, but it's definitely one I want you to hear, because I think that'll be a trigger point for what was just now communicated. All right. Mentoring leaders. Kendra, do you have something?
No, I don't know whether you were keeping on with like what we're reading, or you can move forward.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mentoring leaders. Oh, well, no, if you read, please tell me.
Yeah. So, so I am reading in chapter 2, and it was the part about attracting leaders. And every time when I read this book, I really try to reflect on myself and what I'm getting out of that. And what I get was that I can't remember what page it was on, but it talked about attracting leaders. And in my reflection, I said I want to attract leaders without going into management mode. And I know one thing that really sticks out to me is what you say is the mind your business and mind your life. And so I don't think that means to distance myself from those people, but it does mean that there's power, and they talked about the power of proximity. And for me, and I reflect about that, then that really means to invite people to Financial Peace University, really kind of plug them in. And I've had people who have really benefited from that class to go through there, as well as the Leading Ladies Call. And then on page 32, it talks about conversations with leaders. And I think the point that Angie brought up and the point that Andrea brought up is that everybody comes to the table with something. And I think about the Life is Rich family, like with Nate, Andrea, Kim, Angie, Shirley, like who provide insight on various issues that that come up. So I consider the Life is Rich family as leaders, and having this individual conversations and value statements, we really grow from each other from doing that. So yeah, and I agree with you, Nate, that this is very advanced. This whole leadership is very advanced. I mean, I think in the front of the book, it talks some other books, and I marked off Developing the Leader with You and 5 Levels of Leadership. Like, I think I need to go back, on a basic level, because it is advanced. It's good, but I know it's advanced because I know where I am as far as leadership is concerned.
Yes, and that's exactly right. You hit it on the head, and those are books that would set the foundation for you to move in here. Because like I said, this here is me saying, one, me modeling the behavior so you can see that what I'm personally doing, but also so that you can literally start to get a heads up of what is to come. Because inevitably, for those of you that raise your own hand, to sit at this table, you have the opportunity to look at it from multiple sides. You get a chance to say, well, wait a minute, this is what Nate is evaluating of me. And am I meeting this bar? And if I'm not, what do I need to do for myself? Because if I meet this bar, now I know what I need to look for in other people if I want to build something. Also, that's really the whole idea, is that I'm just giving you an inside look and giving you the opportunity to ask the questions, engage as someone that is proactively, intentionally looking for those turnkey people that they sit at the table and they're ready to, and they're there. So anyone else reading? Okay, good. All right, chapter 8. Let's get into it. I'm excited about this one. This is a great lesson as well. Mentoring leaders, coach them to the next level.
What is the value of a good mentor? Chapter 8, mentoring leaders. Coach them to the next level.
He said, you know, every piece of knowledge is something that has already been shared by someone else. And I constantly get that in the Life is Rich community. And that's one of, you know, the reasons I stay connected, because your focus is personal development. And that's the area personally that I reflect on all the time as I develop and maintain my involvement with this community.
All right, great, thank you. Anyone else?
That first paragraph was so powerful to me. And that self-evaluation part. So self-evaluation is valuable, but the perspective and assistance of mentors are essential because of the blind spots or lack of self-awareness. I mean, that we may lack that self-awareness. So I have been recipient of that. I have kind of experienced that in this Life is Rich community. And I'm really, you know, in a process of self-evaluation, and then also respecting the guidance and what do you call, I guess, guidance of, you know, mentors. Like you all know that I prayed for mentors in different areas of my life, but I didn't know that it would come packaged up in you and Andrea as Life is Rich. So that first paragraph was really powerful to me.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Hey, Nate, I want to say this one thing. The thing that stuck out to me is that mentoring is like parenting. And the power of intentionally investing the best of you into the lives of others. And it reminds me of a passage of scripture in the Bible that talks about the barren woman that doesn't have any children, but he said, I'll make your children like your offspring, like, I don't know, I can't remember exactly what, I'll find the scripture later, but that, and I think that stuck out for me because even as having no biological children, all of the women that I have invested my life into, what I thought at that particular time, like you said, I could only lead at the level at which I grow. And for that time of investing the best of myself into others, it was like parenting. I did feel, matter of fact, I would tell you that they would call me their Mary Kay mom, that type of thing. And it really is like, it's that humanity, that whole human piece, and that heart piece that you talk about. And so that really is the thing that stuck out with me, is that mentoring is as important as parenting. So.
All right, thank you.
I'd like to piggyback on what Andy just said. That is also the part that stuck out with me, that if you truly understand mentoring or the meaning of mentoring, you understand it's important as parenting. And I can remember even, high school, and even before my high school days, kids, my peers would always call me Mama Kim. And I just believe that if, if I am going to be a mentor, then I have to really understand mentoring, and then I have to understand the importance of being mentored so that I can be my true self, my true best self to those that God has given me the opportunity to lead, so that I can help them to understand or give them permission to do the same. And so because of that, I just believe that all mentors ought to be willing to put their tough skin up, put on the big girl, big boy underpants, and really be mentored by someone who can help pull out what's in them, so that when we are mentoring, it can be the best of the best.
Intentionally investing my best into the lives of others. But I also want you to make note of, that's why I would rather mentor one leader than dozens of followers. I'd rather mentor one leader than dozens of followers. It's why my purpose is to add value to leaders who multiply value to others. Remember I showed you 90% of leaders, 90% of leaders, 10% of leaders lead 90% of, I don't remember the words, but the bottom line is that leaders, most of the people that are leaders lead.
90% of leaders lead followers.
That's it. 90% of leaders lead followers, exactly. And, but that's not my aim. That's not my name. That's not my aim, and that's not my purpose. And that's why this here is a concerted effort to try to raise leaders, because it's work leading followers. Leaders bring joy to that mentoring process. And so, good deal. We should be able to move pretty. This is good. So 1 second.
Every time I hear those words,
Opportunity to begin that test. And what do you take away from that? Does what do you have from who's a good mentor through, I saw benefited intellectually from their wisdom, but it was my heart that caught their spirit. And he listed out things that he caught. These mentors poured into my life and invested themselves in me, and I'm grateful. And he spoke about credibility. Go ahead. Somebody was off mute just now.
My takeaway is that the right relationships matter, and that as a mentor, we should never stop seeking to be mentored, and that we should never stop learning.
Okay. Anyone else?
So I wrote down with capital letters and stars and exclamation points, today matters. And again, going back to your 1,442 minutes.
40.
1,140 minutes.
1,440.
What?
1,440.
What I said? I said the same thing twice?
No.
Okay. So those minutes and what, and Lord, if you allow me to make it back, I'll never waste a day of my life. Today matters. And so, so that was the first thing. And then as he listed, so then I wrote down, number one, do I have credibility? I listed down, I highlighted all of the, having a great attitude. Do I have a great attitude? Am I in proximity? All of the things that he was taught, going to places that inspire you, be the first to see in others, everything that his mentors inspired in him, it just gave me a real good bird's eye view on where I need to develop.
you know, and the things that I could take away.
Okay.
Why look on your face?
Anyone
Okay,
else?
no.
One of my takeaway, not only one, I mean, this chapter is very good. I just got the book 2 days ago, but I'm going to really dive in it because based on what, you know, just following by his the recording, it has some very, very important and useful information, like his father taught him about attitude is a choice, and it's a different maker. And also what stood out is who you learn from is as important as what you learn, and make sure who you're learning from have integrity and credibility. And it's back to something that I've always said to myself and even share with my team members. I can teach you how to earn the Queen's Court of Sales, but I cannot honestly say, I can tell, you know, recommend you do it, go for the sharing court where you can earn your B, but I have never done it myself. So if I tell them to go do it because I've done it, that's not having incredibility. So that is so key, that you have great integrity, and whatever you do it with credibility, sincerity, and also you're doing the right thing. So that was key. Sometimes we learn from people that, you know, they are high up there, but they don't have integrity. So that is so key.
All right.
I'm gonna dive into this book because it's a lot of information in this book that I need, that would be of benefit to me. So.
Awesome. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Val, you had something?
Yes. What I think jumped out to me was mentorship is both caught and taught. That the catching part of mentorship is totally dependent upon the credibility of the person that's mentoring you. That spoke volume to me, simply because there's a lot of people that tend to give, you know, what they consider great information, or let me close my door because they feel because they're in a position of what's considered leadership that everything that comes across is valuable. But in chapter 3, I highlighted how listening is relatively quite important. And if you know that someone is actually listening to you and they're setting the example, such as yourself and Andrea do, you're more open to the advice, to the mentorship. And it is caught. It's just like with your children. When you have children, they tend to be rebellious at times, and they tend to learn more from what they're watching you do, opposed to what you're telling them to do. So that diverse idea of getting a mentor from here and there, and just kind of picking and choosing who's actually giving you value, opposed to just directing you and telling you to do this and telling you to do that, but they're not really showing any real concern and they're not really listening to you as a person. That just kind of makes you feel, you know, as though they're not really interested in you as a person. So that mentorship is caught as well as taught, spoke volume to me. So yeah, that's
all right.
My views on that.
Okay, got it. So he listed out some things. I hope you guys don't miss this. When he talked about who's a good mentor, he listed out things: consistency, faithfulness, reflectiveness, duty, creativity, faith, humility, joy, possibilities, fulfillment, perspective, focus, vision, reciprocity, opportunity, servanthood, intentionality, as he listed out some things that he got from that he caught from his mentors. Whether you're seeking a mentor or seeking to be mentored, the following questions need to be answered. Does the mentor have credibility? Competent mentors possess a credibility that comes from both knowing and doing. For this reason, they can help people evolve over time through action as well as knowledge. All right.
Number two is the men and talented you are, I am, we are. If we don't have somebody walk into our life, there are levels of our potential that will never be reached. That's why I'm kind of amused when somebody tells me, I'm a self-made man. I know what they're thinking when they say that, that they've done very well in their business and in their education, whatever, and that they've achieved a pretty good status and that they've kind of pulled themselves up. And so I guess there's maybe some reason to be a little bit prideful about being a self-made man, self-made woman. But whenever they tell me that, I think of mentoring and I think, oh, come on. Truly, if you're a self-made man or a self-made woman, in fact, I tell them, you really haven't made much, have you? And I don't mean that in a negative way or even a cynical way. I mean it in a very truthful way, that if you're a self-made person, there are levels of your potential, honestly, that you've never yet reached. And I don't want that for you. That's why I wrote the chapter in this book. I want you to be mentored, and I want you to mentor. In fact, again, I want this to be a relationship where you are always mentoring somebody, but you're always being mentored by somebody. I don't think we ever get to the head of the class in mentoring. I just think we're in the class. And there are times when we are pouring into others, and there are others times when they're pouring into us. A few years ago, I was in Canada, and I was speaking for one of their top banks in their country. It was a leadership conference, and I loved their theme. And when I read the theme, and in fact that day I talked about it, I've always thought this is what mentoring really looks like. The theme of their conference was, we bring the best out of others. I love that. You see, that's what mentoring does. That's what mentoring is. Mentoring brings the best out of others. And so the question I ask you today is very simple. Who would say that you are bringing the best out of them? Who would list your name as they would say, my gosh, they mentor me, they bring the best out of me? And by the way, who would you say brings the best out of you? Who is taking you to levels that you couldn't get without them? Now, I would give you this suggestion. Think about, 2 or 3 people in your life that have mentored you, okay? And they brought the best out of you. When's the last time you wrote them a note and just let them know that? Now, I'm a big note writer. I know with all the social media and technology, I know it's a little bit out of date, and I know I'm an old person, so okay. But let me tell you something. Emails are quickly trashed. But you write a personal note to somebody, I can just guarantee you, they hold on to that a little longer because it holds on to their heart a little tighter. There's something about just a handwritten note. And I would suggest that, after I'm done just sharing my heart with you for a moment, that you just turn the tape off and you sit down and you think of 2 or 3 people that bring the best out of you, and write them a note and say, thanks for bringing the best out of me. I will tell you that all the things they received, the day they received that note, the note will be at the top of their list. It's good for you to express gratitude and appreciation. It's good for them to see the rewards of mentoring you in your life. Here's what I know. I don't, you don't, we don't reach our potential alone. Someone right now is waiting for you to pour into their life. Go find them, choose them, start taking them to another level. And by the way, you're not at the top of the class either. who's going to help you go to the next level. We truly do need each other. Developing leaders isn't so much like, I'm really good and I'm going to help you become a better leader. Developing leaders is all about the fact that when I pour into you, I grow too. It's impossible, again, to light the candle of another without your light becoming greater. That's just the way it works. So I love mentoring. I love being mentored. I love every day pouring my life into others. I love every day learning and sitting at the feet of people that are much smarter, wiser than I. And I just love this chapter. And I hope that at the end of this chapter, you'll kind of say, okay, take action. Let's find somebody to pour your life into. I know this, somebody's waiting on you. Trust me, they're waiting on you.
All right. Let's see, where do we begin? Let's do it like this. I'm just going to go one by one, and you can close out with, well, no, I'll go around. Give me something of value that you got from what you just heard. Give me something that stood out or something that you need me to pull out, especially if you got your book, because I didn't stop it, but there was so much that I would have given more time. Val, starting with you.
What stood out to me was, what was he talking about? What was he talking about? Well, it's up under number 3, where it says personalize your mentoring to help leaders succeed. It involves discerning where they are, knowing where they are supposed to go, and giving them what they need to get there. As well, I highlighted, as you mentor leaders, pay attention to each person's personality type, learning style, love language, strengths, weaknesses, internal motivation, background and history, family relationships, aspirations, inspirations, and more. That in turn went back to being a great listener of who your people are. Knowing who they are and what their needs are as individuals, to me, is important. And he just kind of highlighted that, because that makes them greater and it makes you in turn greater. So that was what I got of value from that chapter, that part of the chapter.
Okay. Mom, what did you pull out?
For me is set expectation up in front for both of you. For instance, people come into a mentoring relationship with different assumption. And, there's a saying that a lot of time we get disappointed in people. People don't disappoint us, is our expectation, because they said, I'm going to do something, and you just think they're going to do it. So it's set expectation is very, very important. That's a big thing right there.
All right. Thank you for bringing, that's one of the ones that, again, it's about trying to figure out, what you're listening to and what you're pulling away is so critical, because if that particular thing that Mom just highlighted didn't stand out to you, then you won't have a place to start out with as far as improving. If you're in the mode thinking about those other things, but you missed out on the importance of looking in the mirror and knowing what it is that's expected of you in a relationship, then how can you be looking at it from a vantage point of ever getting to the point of mentoring? Be a good follower before you can ever become a good leader. So with that said, I want to start to walk you through, and I'll call on each one of you, but let's pull it back, because I don't want us to get thrown off and miss the main things. So we had does a mentor reproduce other leaders? Any comments, thoughts on that particular point? All right. Is it coaching or mentoring? Did you pick up on that?
Yeah, that really stood out to me, Nate. And I'm not going to go down and read it, but just knowing the difference and me taking time to go back and really look at that, and you know, thinking that you're coaching somebody when you're really mentoring somebody, or mentoring somebody when you're really coaching them, and they're kind of cousins and may go hand in hand, but just knowing the difference is helpful for me.
Okay, what stood out? What was a difference between them that look at that list and tell me some things that that pop out at you?
I think one of the ones really, it was the first of all, the short term versus the long term, skill centered versus life centered, but that last one, transactional versus transformational. That coaching is a paid transaction usually, whereas mentorship is something that you freely give of yourself, and your time. You're intentional about giving your time, and so therefore, you know, you are, you know, if I'm giving my time, it's kind of like back when he said, if there's no return on investment, goodbye. That's pretty much the short of it. So I think those were, and then the training versus developing. Coaching is training people, and developing is mentorship is developing, which is why it's long term versus coaching being short term. Training something to do something means, okay, with an expectation, like, okay, you got it, and I'm, you know, that's it.
How does it relate to this and what you've experienced within Life is Rich, or experienced with me? Since you paid for a coaching relationship,
right?
So what have you experienced in that, and what do you experience when you see it, even observe it from this leadership within this group?
Yeah, I paid you to help me to get to a certain place. I had a goal, a specific thing that I was working toward that I didn't get to because you coached me into how to think and what, and you know, how to think.
Because I mentored you in how to think versus what to think.
Well, yeah, that. And while here, this is a never-ending pursuit of living your best life and being your best. So it's not something that has an ending point. You know, this is a life's work. This is a mission. And so I just see it as something that the difference is, when you were coaching me, I had a specific goal, a time frame, that type of thing. And with mentoring, with what we do here in Life is Rich, it's for the long term, generational wealth, creating legacy, that type of thing.
Okay. And for all of you also, just know it's more personal. You know, again, the pouring out, the mentoring is a different type of thing. But as you heard with John Maxwell, and I, you know, listened to him, and he and I are similar in that I do both. I do coaching and I do mentoring based on what's actually going on. But at the end of the day, it is my slant is always to mentoring, because I'm looking at you in totality. Okay, what about anyone else? Anything else before I turn the page?
Hey, Nate and everyone. I was going to, before you just said it, what I was going to contribute, I was going to say that you were kind of a hybrid, wherein you do coaching as well as mentoring, but you've already, you know, just stated that fact. I see the, I guess the coaching experience being more goal oriented, where the mentoring kind of, it's like a vested interest in equipping someone for their own, personal growth and development. So, that's how I see it. I'd never really thought of the two. Like, I really thought that they were really very, very close in nature or almost synonymous with each other. But, this is pretty interesting that, when you really think about it, there is a distinction between the two. And, I'm happy to see that distinction because I never really saw that before.
All right, great. Thank you.
I'll
All right.
say, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Kim.
I'll say that before you turn the page, under number 3, where it talks about does a mentor reproduce other leaders, toward the bottom it says his basketball players acknowledged that he taught them more about life and leadership than he did about basketball. And that really helps me put in perspective when you say, this ain't about Melaleuca. It really helps me put that in perspective, that you teach the totality of a person, which is going to serve us well, whether it's Melaleuca or whatever. And so that's what stuck out to me when we were on that part.
Excellent. Yep, that's one I definitely want you to hold on. That's a so what statement right there. Exactly as he communicated it is exactly what the parallel should pop out in your minds. Okay. Choose who you mentor. Don't let them choose you. Do you, as you guys read through that or watch and paid attention to that particular section of how to mentor leaders, we got number 1, choose who you mentor. Don't let them choose you. Number 2, set expectations up front for both of you. Personalize your mentoring to help leaders succeed. Care enough to have the crucial conversations. As you go through those last 4 points, where do you see that play out, and how do you fit in that? Go ahead. Go ahead,
Can you all hear
Shawanda.
me? Oh, thank
Yes.
you, Nate. First of all, this whole chapter is so full of rich information. When I look at that, choose who you mentor, don't let them choose you. I've been in situations in my job where I've been asked to mentor people. I've never asked why. So for that piece, and I wrote a note to myself, don't let others pick who you mentor. But I think I'm going to go ahead and have that crucial conversation. It's all relative. I'm going to ask why, because I don't want it to be a missed opportunity for me and or the other person. So when someone is asking me to mentor and or lead, I'm going to ask why. And having those crucial conversations and being cognizant of people's time. Those are 2 areas that I too will be focusing on. And going back to the chart between the mentoring and the coaching, that just speaks volumes. Mentoring is a way of life. When I have the opportunity to read my results from that assessment, you have to know yourself and know your strengths before you can even begin to impart anything to anyone. So everything that has been said today is invaluable. My last nugget is reflection, because that's something that I don't get to do very often because I'm not taking time or making the time to do it. So really taking time to reflect on the lessons, to go back, review my notes, so that it's not just something that I'm learning, but something that I'm actually applying. And until you begin to apply it, you don't even know the questions that you have about the how or the have not. So thank you.
All right, great, thank you.
Hey, Nate, I have a
Yep.
question based on what Shawanda just said that just came to my mind. So one of the things that he talked about in that same part right there is that the more successful you become, the greater number of people will ask you to mentor them. So when I was in Mary Kay, this happened all the time. I would have people call me. I mean, I had more adoptees and, that type of thing. And so people, that would say, oh, can you mentor me? Can you mentor me? And so in reading this, that's why I say this was like so eye-opening for me. Number one, here's the thing that I would, so here are my questions to you. Now understanding that, because I was the yes girl, you know what I'm saying? Now understanding that I should have been selective in choosing those people. How do you, question number one, how do you tell someone, no, I ain't mentoring you? And two, when you assess that person, understanding that they need coaching more than they need mentoring, how do you shift them to that conversation? And do you recommend, hey, I think you need more coaching than mentoring, because this is going to be a frustrating relationship? You know what I'm saying? So do you understand what I'm trying to say? Is that how do you say to someone who, according to this book, doesn't have any what does this say? Where is it now? Oh gosh, I can't find it. Oh Lord.
Well, let's take it away from according to this book. So just go ahead and, so the question I heard you ask me is and I'm going to say me, because so you're asking me how do I tell how do I address the people
That's what it is, whose strengths are not compatible with yours. It's like
with my strengths, right?
Yeah, they're that 5'8" couch potato, wanting to mentor them.
Okay, I got it.
Successful. Okay, go ahead. Talk me through it.
Number one, the way you do some things is the way you do everything. So with my coaching hat with you personally, the thing you've got to do in order to make that adjustment is that you've got to always speak truth directly. That's the first part. How do I do it? I tell people that contact me about mentoring is, I say, well, I can't tell you that I'm going to mentor you because I get that call all the time. And when I do it, that means there's a commitment on my part. And that commitment is that I'm a reflection of you and you're a reflection of me. And that comes with some responsibility. So that's the first step. Without me trying to pass any judgment about the person, without me trying to say yes or no, it's just me simply saying, do you even know what you're asking for? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so that's the first thing. The next thing is recognizing whether or not I want to or not. If I don't want to, I'm gonna say no. Doesn't come with no explanation. It's not something that I've got to sugarcoat or nothing. It's simply said, it's not something that I've got to feel obligated to say yes to.
Right. So right there, because I always feel the need.
That's what I said. That's why I gave you the first recommendation.
Right.
Because sadly, people will do things when it's not sincerely what they want to do.
Right.
And that's not operating from a place of integrity.
Right.
Ooh, you say, wow, he said it like that. Yes, I'm saying it like that because we got to learn how to just say those things without having those, without all that other stuff. And that's it. The next thing is, in taking on someone, you got to have a standard, i.e., expectations. One of the reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing, and I've invited you guys to go along, and I kept going back saying you got to see yourself in this, is because I willingly took on everybody that had a desire. I didn't go through a filtering process. I didn't go through because I'm still operating in my gifts. But what I did do, and each one of you heard this, is I gave you a time frame in which I was going to do what I'm doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's me saying, I'm going to do this throughout. If you want to get all of Nate Scott and get this mentoring type relationship, you can come as you are for 2020. But there's a standard that I have for compatibility of strength. I didn't take you guys through that. I haven't gone through a thing of really looking through that up until now, where I'm literally looking at, and I've got some working knowledge of where your desires are and what you're working with. And I've got a vested interest in those of you that have been a part of this process. But what you're starting to see is that I'm moving away from a lot of you, and you don't get my time as much because you haven't done with those things that I've given to you to do. And so now you move into the book where you see about number 2, set expectations up front for both of you. So Andrea, in your situation, setting expectations. Great guide with this book. The we expectations. We will maintain an ROI agreement, return on investment agreement. I get that, and I measure that when I ask you for your value statement. I measure that when I say, okay, you can't be sitting on the sidelines just soaking up. I'll kick you out of the group. I won't leave you on here if you came here just to soak up and you ain't participating, right? So that's how those things are how I measure. It's one thing to say something. It's another thing to actually have something in place to actually see if it happens. So the return on investment side, what I'm looking at is saying, okay, are you getting value? Because if I'm not giving you value, then I'm not. Why are you putting your time in? I owe you something of value, even if it's in the first few minutes, or even if it's in the first few pages of my book. I'm always saying, I don't care how much you've read or how much time. Or people say, well, I got here late. I don't care about how long you've been here. I just care about, did you get something during that time in which you were here that you can walk away with saying it was of value to you? And if the answer is no, then I've just missed the mark, and that's okay. I can always then work to get better. Number 2, we will make each other better. It's got to be a win-win. And a person needs to know that. So you got to be able to speak about that directly. You expectations. Now, this is the big one. You must come ready. You must keep earning my time. You must improve, not just learn. You must mentor other leaders. Now I'm starting to highlight, and now I'm shifting because I'm getting you guys ready for 2021. I told you 6 months. I'm doing this 6 months of focusing just on leadership, because my shifting is going straight into operating from my regular position of strength, my compatibility strength, all that stuff. And now you're starting to meet, I'm now highlighting things for you to kind of have 6 months to get yourself right. The showing up late for things that you've committed to, those things where you're not actually raising your hand and saying you're committed to, but I still let you kind of participate and sit at the table. That's not going to continue on. I'm like, okay, I'm observing and I'm gonna work with everyone because I'm going through the material myself and I want to continue to grow. So I need people to pour into. But I'm giving you a heads up to run with, because that right there, you must come ready. Most people don't do that. Most people still have to wait on me giving them a heads up. You must keep earning my time. That was another big one. Having conversations with me, but then don't follow through, don't implement. That mentoring relationship doesn't work like that. It's like, okay, if you ask me something one time, I give it to you, and then you come back and ask me the same thing. Okay, well, that's a form of disrespect. So why we even have this? No, the phone, no, you don't get as, you'll start to see me not being as responsive, as an example of what it looks like. So Andrea, that's the way that looks, is that those expectations are set up front for the person so that they can sign off on it. Improve, not just learn. We got to see growth. I have to see growth, because again, I know the seed is good. So then the question is, what is someone doing when they're not around? Many times what happens is nobody's doing anything prior to they show up here. That's when I ask the question. I was like, I ain't got to have everybody just, I ain't putting everybody on blast, but is anyone reading the book already? You got anything that you're reading? Okay, let me have you, so I can just get a sense. But truth of the matter is, I have an expectation that, no, most people are not doing the extra work. But by plugging in here and you going through this book here, you start to say, wait a minute, I gotta make some shifts. But when you're in a mentoring relationship, the person needs to know that there's an expectation there. Must mentor other leaders. If we apply to this here framework, that's what would happen. Is that when I have you guys set up those three-way text messages, when you introduce somebody, say the first person, and then you see me do certain things with that first person you introduced me to, well, now I did that because I want you to be able to do that thing without even bringing me to the next person. So now you can copy and paste and make sure the next person gets oriented the same way. Still make the introduction to me, but not have me do all those things that I already did at one time when you now already know what to do. So for example, let's say Kim has introduced Shawanda. Okay, well, the same thread that I had with Shawanda, well, when you introduce LaTanya, okay, boom, you already have that from experience. Now you learned, now you're showing me that you learned it. Now you can then take it, do it. And then when you make the introduction to me, you can say, boom, Nate, this is what I've done already. They got this, boom, boom, boom. And then like, now I can then figure out where the next place that I can move from to help move you further along. And that's what it looks like when you are getting those calls from people that want to be mentored and then starting to have people self-select. And that's the way that I do it. I literally let people, when I'm really looking for when I'm actually doing the mentoring, and I only have a handful of people that I say, okay, that's a mentee. And because again, it's something where I have said, okay, I'm attached to this person. Okay, so does that help? You're on mute. Andrea, you're on mute.
Yeah, yes, it helps. Thank you so much.
All right. Okay, so that brings me to that particular section now. Anyone else, anything on those section 2? Set expectations up front for you, for both of you. You expectations, me expectations, we expectations. Anything?
Hi, Nate. This is Angie.
Yep.
Just kind of revisiting some of the things you've already said in this particular section. But what stood out to me was you must improve, not just learn. And he said that he expects people that he mentored to remain attentive, take notes, and learn, which is always the format for how you begin all of the Zoom sessions I've ever been involved with you, that there's an accountability to gain knowledge and to be able to return it so that in return, we can apply it outside of this Life is Rich community. So that was my takeaway.
All right. And again, it's that learning, that's a true opportunity we're learning, because as I said, if I tell you, you'll forget. If I teach you, you'll remember. But if I involve you, you'll learn. It's that involvement that will show and give you the opportunity to actually learn. All right. Anyone else?
Hey, Nate. So
yes.
Under the we expectations, one of the things I thought about as I read that was that not only does it apply to mentoring relationships, but really any relationship where the return on investment is one-sided. When one person is giving more and another person is benefiting, when both people are benefiting, the relationship is life-giving. But when one person is benefiting, and I mean, I've lived it, you know what I'm saying? I just feel like that is the difference between, my former relationship and my current relationship, where I feel like, well, I hope we're both benefiting, but, I know that a relationship can run its course. And he says that the last sentence of that is, either of us can say it's run its course and we can walk away at any time without blame or shame. Even though you don't go into a marriage with that as an agreement, whereas this is the upfront agreement or expectation, the truth of the matter is that happens to a lot of relationships, a lot of marriages, where it's not mutually beneficial. It starts out that way maybe, but it doesn't end that way, or it doesn't continue that way. So anyway, that just was a thought that was kind of like came into my mind.
Well, it goes to, again, my hope and desire and expectation for each and every one of you is that as you are dialed in and experienced what you have the opportunity to experience within Life is Rich, is that you understand that all of this stuff is overlapping. I absolutely will tell you that relationships are relationships are relationships. And with that said, oftentimes I tell people about, me meeting people, male or female, even with me meeting Andrea the day I met her, I stopped her pink Cadillac, and my interaction with her there wouldn't have been any difference between my interaction with her if she was a male, except for I'm attracted to women. But the process of my engaging with someone and having a conversation and my respect and all that stuff is same. The only difference is gender changes. Gender is there maybe because there's maybe a different type of eye contact than it is with with the male versus female. But at the end of the day, those things are still the same. So when you talk about a mutually beneficial relationship and growth in all relationships, you should be looking at, okay, how is this relationship serving? What am I bringing to this relationship, and what are they getting? Is this an asset or a liability? And if you start to take a look at like I was talking to Tilly about some people in his life, and that's the same. So that right there is straight on. Is the relationship that you're talking about, that you're engaged with, what do they bring to the table? Are you the smartest person in the room? Okay, and so that's really what you want to be looking at. That whole we expectation, and what type of life, where are the life-giving relationships? I remember asking my wife when she, even as a national, I say, okay, so these are our friends, but how is this benefiting you? What is the substance of this relationship? And so I encourage each one of you to take a look at those things and to realize that you're definitely a reflection of the people you associate with and the books you read. Go ahead, Andrea.
Wait, just this last one. And because I've seen it so many times, and even sometimes, and I've struggled with it before. And it's even when it comes to different ministries, when you look at, are you benefiting? Where's the benefit to you? Sometimes we stay places in any relationship, whether it's at a church or wherever you fellowship or whatever, that there's just no benefit. You're just kind of there, and it's and it's out of obligation. And then when you leave, people want to say, well, what's wrong with what's wrong with her, or no, I'm sorry, what's wrong with the churches? Why is she leaving? This is a great place to be in, but just because you're benefiting from it doesn't always mean that somebody else is benefiting from it. And people, have the right to go, and we shame people or make people feel badly when they leave someplace that we deem is supposed to be the top of the top or the best of the best. No difference with me, retiring with Mary Kay to move on to explore other gifts and talents and other opportunities and that type of thing. And so, so there are people who leave churches all the time for one reason or the next. If it's, and so that's just the other thing and that I wanted to share.
So the thing you want to do, and everybody, I want you to take away with this simple statement is and recognize the parallel, is that lions don't listen to sheep. Know who you are, because you're only able to be shamed by others when you're unsure about who you are and what you are and all that other stuff. It's always going to be the naysayers and the haters and the people that don't get in and I mean, even leaving the neighborhood. I mean, heck, if you're trying to change zip codes, I mean,
right.
So again, these parallels, these things, you just got to recognize that these things are the things that come with raising your standards. That's the key thing to recognize. As you raise your standards, it's going to cause people to look and wonder, well, what's wrong with me? And you literally, that statement of hitting you is me. And be okay with that.
It's interesting, Nate, as I think about it. People either will think what's wrong with where we are? Is there something wrong with where we are? Or does she think she can do better than where we are? Or she can't do better than where, you know what I'm saying? It's that, like you said, the neighborhood, hoping that if you decide to leave, people hoping that you fail. And these are people who loved you when you were in the thick of things with them. And then you decide that you want, to settle for more, right? Instead of less, you want to settle for more. And whatever your more is, and then it's this whole, hate, like you said, hateration kind of thing. So it's interesting. I'm done.
And it's because where you are moved, if you do what they didn't do, then it ends up making them feel and maybe revealing something about them. That's the thing to recognize, is that many times the people that want you or try to hold on to you and hoping that you fail is because if in fact you go out and succeed, then it eliminates all excuses, all the alibis that they have been giving and running and replaying, and all that stuff happens. And so that's the reality of it. So, all right, anyone else? Set expectations up, choose a mentor, personalize your mentoring, help leaders care enough to have a crucial conversation. Any questions, any comments? All right. All right. If you guys don't have anything that you want to push out, then let me just go around the horn and give me your value statement. Let's go with you first, Shawanda. What did you get a value from today? And also, I understand you might have had your assessment. You're on mute. All right, iPhone Kim. You're on mute. Okay, Mom.
Yeah, my value statement is continue to learn, continue to show up, because I learned that it's the difference between a mentor and a coach is two different things. So that was, very important to me. So, the more I listen, the more I show up, is the more I'm learning.
All right, great, thank you. Val. Andrea, what? Yes.
I have a question about
Sure.
what Mom just said. What if you're in a leadership position and you neither coach nor mentor, you just train?
Coaching provides training falls within coaching.
Okay.
Now, being in a position, okay, give me an example of a position.
Okay, let's just say you're a manager on your job, but
now you haven't been that, so what? Let's not use that.
Okay,
what are you saying?
All right, so let's just say you're a sales director in Mary Kay.
Okay.
But you don't have the ability to coach people, and because you haven't really.
What's your question, though?
I mean, are you really a leader? Or
most people are not leaders. Most people are not leaders.
Okay,
that's my point.
All right, thank
Period.
you. I'm done.
Yeah, somebody getting a title doesn't mean they're a leader. That's one of my pain points. Is people be talking about, oh, this is a leader, this is a leader. I'm like, especially in the network marketing space, I'm like, put that person in any other space, who's gonna follow them doing anything? I mean, leadership is something very sensitive for me. Leadership is real. Most people are not leaders. And when you put it in a whole networking space where people are going and getting other people, they might be influencing people based upon people wanting something, and they might be wanting a dream that might be painted, and they might be, caught up on something, but it's not anything where leaders would actually be following. That's why it says 90% of leaders lead followers. In the space of managing people, training is an activity that takes place. A leader, anybody can train someone. Anybody can train someone. What exactly is that? Anybody can show someone how to follow some steps. That's training. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So a sales director can train someone to do something such as hold a party. I can train all of you to share a 7-minute video. I can train all of you to forget about the Life is Rich stuff. I can train all of you to go to the Melaleuca back office and set up the QuickShare Pro and start the presentation. That's training. Coaching comes in when I help you to understand how to engage with the person, listen for the person, respond accordingly, answer questions, all that other stuff. When it comes from something where you actually have to think versus, learning a script as if you were in a call center and somebody gave you something and they give them some rote answer and you on the other end, like, are you even listening to me? Have you ever had those experiences? Where literally you say something and somebody reading, you can tell that they're reading an answer from their guide.
Yeah, definitely.
Or you call somebody's house and they have this voicemail that sounds like it's you they're talking to.
Okay. All right. So anyway, that's the deal. Training is no, everybody that's in a position with a title doesn't mean that they're a leader. All right. Val.
Ooh, I could. Oof. Anyway, I'm gonna leave that one alone.
Value statement.
Yeah, value statement. Choose who you mentor. Don't let them choose you. Tells me that it said to me that I need to be more intentional of who I give my energy to. These past few days, I've been reaching out to several people, and they literally, to be transparent, have given me a headache. What I thought may have been a great possibility turned out that they just wanted to take the opportunity as if it was time, a moment of them being able to dump on me. So the conversation kind of went left, and it wasted my time. So for me to be more intentional as to what I'm looking for, who I'm looking for, and I guess for lack of a better phrase, the job description, which is not a job, but indirectly.
So I need help. Let's pause, boy. Let's pause right there. Because you said too many things. You got too many things right now that coaching needs to be had. Okay. Number one, if you reached out to someone and the conversation went left, that then tells me you said something that caused it to go left. And here's why I'm telling you this. Let's see if you pass this test. Did you call someone for the purposes of setting an appointment? Yes or no?
Yes.
Don't give me the. Okay. If you call someone for the purpose of setting an appointment, I'm that person. Tell me, set the appointment. You calling me. Tell me what happened. Do it.
I asked.
Let's role play. Role play.
Let's see.
Use their name.
What was this chick's name? Alethea. She made me a mess. Okay. So I said to Alethea, Alethea, I need 30 minutes of your time. This is where the headache started.
Right there. Well, let's pause right there. See, again, I'm doing this because one of the biggest things we got to do is we got to start to recognize that it's not the people. See, even with you trying to give it back, you giving me back the story it indicates how you experienced it. And I want you to address that, because that's where, when I'm saying let's get to the heart of the matter. You're saying it how you're saying it is where we want to make that adjustment. Number one, let's change that word of saying, I need you to give me 30 minutes of your time. You're not calling someone up saying, I need you to give me 30 minutes of your time. All of that is getting. The statement that if you're calling someone up, even if you did say that, what did she say from that?
Oh, I work a lot. Oh no, I'll look at the 7-minute video because I
Where did
sent
that
it.
come from? Okay, work. So
Okay.
that
Because
right there, okay, but if saying right there, if she said those things, I'm just telling you about these little course corrections that give me a full picture of where things are going awry. If she went into saying, if you asked her for 30 minutes and she said, I work a lot, I'll watch the 7-minute video. Okay, got it. You send her a 7-minute video. Okay, got it. So then I have to go in and say, okay, what happened prior to 7-minute video? But let's just go right there. She can say what she just now said. You should just be listening. Now, what did she say at the conclusion of her saying that she'll watch the 7-minute video when?
that's where we became stuck. She said that I can speak to her the next day.
Mm-hmm.
Then she was distracted in the background and talking to other people. And
when? After was this the next day she was distracted and talking to other people, or?
When we were talking about her looking at the 7-minute video, I mean, it was quite chaotic. But needless to say, fast forward, we did talk the next day, which was actually.
Was it a scheduled time? Was it a scheduled time?
Yes.
Okay,
and
it was a 30 minutes. So 30 minutes for the scheduled time?
We had a time to speak, but she was unavailable. I'm telling you, it's been chaotic. So that's why I said I have to really be intentional.
Okay, so here's the intentionality. It is all about you being intentional. Because again, the lesson I'm trying to give everybody here is that you don't control all that other stuff, but you do control about yours. So here's what it should sound like. Hey, in fact, if you listen to that call that I've sent out multiple times for you guys to go master this call, then you'll have an idea. So actually, boom, here's another spot check. Tilly, get off of mute. You still there? You're on mute. Okay, here's what it looks like. Hey, Val, this is Nate. How's it going?
I'm going pretty good. It's going
good.
pretty
Hey,
good.
listen, great. I don't have a lot of time right now. Do you have a minute?
Yes, I do.
Okay. When can I get 30 minutes with you by phone as soon as possible?
Okay, can I put a pause button in there?
Yep.
Can I be difficult?
I don't know what difficult means. You can be whoever, you can be whatever you want.
Okay. All right. I really don't know. I work a lot. I have to look at that. I don't know. I really don't know. My days are full when I work.
Okay, no problem. No problem. Do you have are you able to check your calendar to see or not?
I'll have to call you back.
Okay, no worries. Talk to you later. Take care. Bye.
Got it. Got it. I got it. That's not letting somebody control your time there. You just
What do you mean? What do you mean not letting? It has nothing to do with me letting. I'm just trying to talk to you. Well, let me find out. Somebody come off mute. Tell me what is the point of me sharing what I just now shared or did what I just did? What'd you gain from that? Go ahead, Angie. You're on mute. No, you're not. You're off of mute. Okay, disregard.
I have a tendency to try too hard to get the appointment. Whereas what
Wait a minute. Wait. How do you say try hard? What you probably have a tendency of talking. You might have a tendency of not asking a question and then being quiet.
Mm-hmm. Working on them giving me a time. But you're right. I need to just accept the fact that they're not going to commit to it right then and say,
no,
okay.
No. Don't miss what happened.
Okay.
I said, Val, when can I get 30 minutes with you by phone as soon as possible? And then I shut up.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I'm listening for is a time.
Mm-hmm.
Telling me that you work a lot. Okay, That has nothing to do with you telling me, you know, if you work a lot, you know when you work. I'm asking you for 30 minutes out of the 1,440 minutes per day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Giving me all the other stuff, that's noise. What does that have to do with anything? I'm asking you, I'm respecting you enough to ask you for you to make the time to look for your availability. And whenever your availability is, I'm good with your availability.
Mm-hmm.
That's what setting an appointment looks like. Professionally speaking, if you go call the attorney office or call the doctor's office, they may ask you when you're available, or they might tell you when they're available, then they may ask you for when you're available, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then
Right.
you got to tell them when you're available. Isn't that true?
That's true.
And then they schedule that time, and you cross-reference that time. Even if you're not sure you can make it, at least put it down tentatively, right? And you say, I'll call you back to make sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay? So my point is, though, is that just be mindful of taking this stuff in and then start looking at it as a transaction, and these people, and so why I started that was simply saying this whole idea about getting the right people and all this other stuff. If they brush their teeth, wash their clothes, got bleach in their home, that's the qualifier for what it is you're calling for the appointment about. Okay, so no. So unless you got, now in your mind, if you're trying to call people, trying to recruit people, then that's what comes out when you verbalize what you just now said. But that's not that which you're reaching out to people based on what it is that I'm teaching. Because when it comes to that, then that means you can go door by door, and you can knock on everybody's door and say, hey, do you have bleach? Hey, do you have bleach? I mean, that's how wide open this is.
Right.
Okay. All right. So we can come back. All right. Let's go. Deb Johnson.
My value statement for today, can't remember which specific section, but care enough to have crucial conversations, and that the best time to have those crucial conversations is now. The longer you put it off, the more difficult it becomes.
All right. Thank you. Angie. Hello?
Trying to get the mute. Oh, there it is. No one reaches their potential alone. Who would say they bring the best out of you? So I guess I've been sitting here spending some time thinking about, people who, I guess, in my opinion, I've had sort of an informal mentoring relationship, but in looking at the characteristics of mentorship, it parallels with some of the ways we connected in the relationship. So I thought that was reflective.
Okay. Kim Brown.
Looking at the relationship between coaching versus mentoring, how they're different, and then seeing that they can overlap in some areas, and then just understanding that that coaching may be more of it's goal oriented, and it may be based upon a financial or contractual agreement, whereas mentoring has to do more with having maybe a vested interest in an individual and being able to see them grow, prosper into something beyond maybe what a coaching relationship would offer.
Okay, thank you. Tilly.
Yeah, so today I got first focus on myself first. You know, like get myself poured into first, and to also consider who I mentor. Like those things stood out to me today, is to work on Tilly first and choose people who to mentor next. Over.
All right, Andrea, close it out with you.
All right. Awesome, everyone. I think this has been an amazing session. And the thing that I'm walking away with is when I pour into you, I grow too. When I pour into you, I grow too. And lions don't listen to sheep. That I wrote in big capital letters. And that was very impactful to me. And so pouring into others allows us to grow, but also with Nate, and again, going back to Life is Rich community, and giving these value statements allows him to grow as well. So this has been so good, and let's continue to read and to listen. For those of you guys who have Audible, and you can download the book on Audible and follow along with the book or whatever. So, but this has been awesome. So anyway, I appreciate you guys so much. Nate, thank you for all that you pour and all that you do and all that you are. You guys have a wonderful rest of the weekend. Join us for service tomorrow. I know that I Facebook Live for those of you guys who stream us. Usually Facebook is a little spotty, but I will put the Zoom information for our service in tomorrow for those of you guys who are interested in watching with us. So y'all be blessed. Have a happy, wonderful Saturday and a blessed Sunday. Take care. Bye now.